In China's northern desert, the Great Wall is slowly vanishing, its giant ramparts crumbling to dust. This ancient symbol of the mighty emperors weathered a millennium of war and turmoil, but it can't survive 1,000 years of wind and sand. From the desert it came, to the desert it's returning. These are the people of the Yellow Earth Plateau, a vast and hostile wasteland that stretches for thousands of kilometres across northern China. Jianming lives in the village of Fengtuan. It didn't rain here for 4 years, the worst drought in over half a century. Recently the rains came, but even when there is water, the family has to make do with about 1.5 buckets a day. If the well runs dry, they have to buy supplies. They've given up farming because the rain came too late for anything to grow. The family survives by sending the men out to pick the black moss that grows on the Mongolian plains 500 kilometres away. It's a delicacy among rich southern Chinese. One bagful will buy Tian's family enough rice to live on for 2 months. So they sift through the soil for every last skerrick. They can only afford 2 meals a day. The children will never be sent to school. Life here revolves around the search for water. A family's most important asset is its well. They keep them locked. When rain is the only source of water, every drop must be caught and saved. In a good year, they get about 20 centimetres of rain, but it evaporates faster than it falls. The authorities say 1 million people don't even have enough water to drink. Mr. Lee and his family grow what they can. There are plenty of mouths to feed because most of the population here are Muslims and therefore exempt from the one-child policy. Keeping them fed gets harder each year. The harsh climate and overpopulation have shrunk the amount of arable land per person by 2/3. Generations of farming, foraging and grazing have sucked this land dry. The ravages of humans and nature have created a landscape that the Chinese say is the most seriously eroded in the world. Each year, more than 500 million tonnes of the yellow earth is blown or washed away. Most of it ends up in the Yellow River, which takes its name from the soil it carries as it carves a narrow green arc across the barren plain. Life here revolves around the river. It always has, and not much has changed. They still use the traditional rafts made from inflated sheep carcasses. The river provides a thin oasis in a sea of sand. But where the water stops flowing, the lifeline ends. In a country which has to feed 22% of the world's population, but has only 7% of the world's arable land, the loss of farmland to desert is considered a crisis. Madame Liu heads the Desert Control Centre at Chapoteau. It was set up 40 years ago. Its 20-odd staff have the task of keeping the ever-shifting sands at bay.
那是非常艰巨的，因为当时呢，就是国内外都没有现成的经验可借鉴，沙丘非常高大，非常密集，而且流动性非常大。
The main task here is keeping the desert from overtaking the railway line that links this region with the rest of China.
是吧？还有一个这个，我们中国是依靠群众的力量来发动这个群众来过沙，所以这一点呢，在这个世界上都是公认的。
With the desert steadily moving in, the Chinese government has come up with a grand solution. It's a giant resettlement program on a scale that only the people who built the Great Wall could dream of. It's costing $500 million, and close to 1 million people are being moved. They're packing up and leaving their arid mountain villages in the hope of finding a better life. A few hundred kilometres to the north, this is the new promised land. The people of China's exodus are being moved from their old desert homes to new desert homes on land that's never been cultivated before. The difference is that here there's irrigation, pumped from the Yellow River in an aqueduct that looms over the landscape. These masses are being mobilised to break in vast new tracts of previously unfarmable land. The Law family packed up and came here 5 years ago. The government gave them money to move and to help build a house. It's one of 18 resettlement areas that families like them are literally digging out of the sand.
原来开始也不好转，这个沙丘大风太多也吹着不好转，慢慢也可以支流几年就可以了，这个水这个蒙着就可以了，现在也可以，这也好了，好些了。
But it's no land of milk and honey. Mr. Law's neighbours say the water supply only runs for half the year, and they have to pay for it here too. Soon the people here will have to start paying taxes and, like other Chinese farmers, contributing part of their produce to the state. The bottom line for the government is that resettlement makes good economic sense. In the long run, it's cheaper to move people to where they can produce and, like good modern communist citizens, pay their own way. There's another reason too. As one local official told us, if we let people starve, they'll lose faith in our party.
我们地方山区地方这个穷苦得很嘛，这个平啊，这个地方舒服啊。原来我们还要算，不算别人就偷着吃了，我们还没吃的水，就是那么艰苦，就那么缺少。现在大量的放开吃药，没那么紧张。
By the end of the decade, 1 million new settlers will have moved in to tame and cultivate this rugged land.
菜皮那嘛，最主要呢，它就好了嘛，咱们种下那都好的很嘛。放着菜，要树你软你嘛，软树它就好了。
Once the land is ready, the rest of the family will join them here, 15 in all. Some who've come here have left and gone home again, finding the new life harder than the old. But the faithful believe the future will be fine.
运气好，我们还运气好，反正一点还把小的
还这个不得了。都叫那一辈子说那个我们就得流浪着这个后的，我们这是。
我们真给下苦着呢。
给我们下苦着，你说这些苦都不要我们下谁下呢？